scheming in the background. I am 100% certain, in my honest opinion, that they had planned this all from the start to hook a prince and make everything possible. The papers should be asking this very question. Is she on their payroll? Because she was their ambassador as such. She was always pictured there pre-Harry.
The pictures are there. We can all see them. Why isn't anybody questioning this? Karina Shulia was Jeffrey Epstein's last known girlfriend.
It starts with a question that refuses to leave the room, a question that creeps in late at night, when the palace is quiet, when the phone stops buzzing, when the carefully rehearsed story finally runs out of air. What if the love story everyone clapped for wasn't love at all? What if it wasn't fate or destiny or two souls colliding against all odds? What if it was something colder, something designed? What if the royal love story the world adored wasn't a romance at all, but a recruitment? What if Harry didn't fall in love, he fell into a plan? And what if the people who warned him were the ones he pushed away? Those words don't just echo, they sting. Because once the idea enters your mind, it refuses to be silenced. Harry didn't just fall, he descended, slowly, willingly, blindly. And the worst part? The warnings were there. Soft at first, gentle, almost apologetic. But warnings don't feel comforting when you're convinced you finally found someone who sees you, understands you, chooses you. It always begins quietly, not with explosions or scandal, but with something small, something easy to dismiss, something you promise yourself you'll ignore because love demands faith, not suspicion.
On record, saying that the only times she flew on a plane, went on a yacht, or whatever was with her boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein.
It always starts with something small, something stupid, something you should be able to ignore. For Harry, that something was a random yacht photo floating around online, one he had pretended not to see for weeks. Meghan insisted it was old, irrelevant, not even worth addressing. But the internet wouldn't shut up, and Harry couldn't forget the way Meghan's jaw clenched every time the picture popped up on his feed. That jaw clench, that split second where the mask tightens. He noticed it. He told himself it meant nothing. Love makes excuses before it ever asks questions. But the photo lingered. It followed him, not because of what it showed, but because of what it unlocked. A discomfort he couldn't name, a sense that something had been filed away too quickly. And then came the moment that changed everything. Once Harry saw that Soho House bag, something inside him snapped awake in a way he couldn't undo. It was like the photograph had whispered, "Go deeper." And he did. He opened a new tab, not as a prince, not as a husband, but as a man who suddenly suspected he was the last to know the truth. With shaky fingers, he typed the three names that were about to drag him into a darker, far less glamorous version of reality. Soho House, Marcus Anderson, Meghan Markle. That moment wasn't dramatic on the outside. No shouting, no confrontation. Just a man alone with a laptop realizing that curiosity is sometimes the most dangerous emotion of all. Once you search, you can't unsee. Once you know, you can't unknow. The results didn't trickle in, they flooded.
We have Meghan Markle parading on a yacht since 2014, at the very least that these pictures emerged there.
Can you just tell them the truth? Can you say to the world?
The moment the search results loaded, Harry felt a cold rush down his spine. The kind you get when you realize you've walked into a story that existed long before you arrived. Page after page painted Marcus not as the friendly social butterfly Meghan had described, but as a man who curated power like a personal art collection. He wasn't a participant in the elite scene. He was its architect. This wasn't just an acquaintance. This wasn't a harmless friend. This was someone who didn't stumble into influence. He engineered it. Someone who didn't attend rooms. He designed who belonged in them. And suddenly, memories began rearranging themselves in Harry's mind, like puzzle pieces snapping into place far too late. He kept scrolling.
Meghan personified. They are so woke that if they turned around and slapped themselves, the woke person would slap back.
Harry scrolled through old photos hidden in forgotten blogs, archived interviews, and articles that were clearly meant to be buried. Every source told the same story. Marcus was the man who made connections happen. He paired up the ambitious with the influential, the beautiful with the wealthy, and the rising stars with the established titans. Meghan had always brushed him off as just an old friend, but it was becoming obvious to Harry that Marcus was more like the man pulling strings from behind a velvet curtain. Behind the velvet curtain. That phrase stuck with him. Because suddenly, Meghan's rise didn't look organic. It looked assisted, guided, curated. And once that thought takes hold, it burrows deep. Harry and Meghan personified. They are so woke that if they turned around and slapped themselves, the woke person would slap back. He tried to laugh it off, tried to tell himself people always exaggerate, but doubt is patient, it waits. Harry tried to push the thought away, but it latched on like a splinter under the skin. That gnawing, unsettling question became impossible to ignore. What if Marcus wasn't just Meghan's friend? What if he had been guiding her? The word handler came into Harry's mind uninvited, and once it arrived, it refused to leave. Handler. The word felt ugly, conspiratorial, and yet it fit far too well. Cerny on how Meghan relies so heavily on Marcus Anderson. And it does make me wonder what on earth Harry thinks of all this. Is he quite happy that this relationship has been instilled in Meghan and Mark? Harry leaned back, rubbing his face, replaying moments he had once ignored. Marcus always there, always adjacent, always welcomed. The VIP passes, the wedding privileges, the way he hovered close, not loud, not obvious, but constant. Someone doesn't accidentally appear that often. He leaned back, rubbing his face, replaying every interaction he'd ever had with Marcus. The wedding privilege, the VIP seat at events, the way he always appeared in Meghan's orbit like some well-tailored shadow. The realization landed heavy. Meghan didn't climb alone. These memories shifted in meaning as Harry realized he had never asked the most basic question. How exactly did Marcus fit into Meghan's life? The answer had been hiding in plain sight. She had never climbed the social ladder alone. Someone had placed the rungs. And once you see the ladder, you start noticing where it was leaned. Just tell people and then they'll understand. Who's Harry? Who's that standing next to the Queen? Is that a servant? That's what Harry wrote in his book Spare. At this point in time, I really have to question his mental acuity. How stupid is this man that he actually believes it? Or is it that he wanted to believe it? That last line hurts the most. Wanted to believe it, because belief is easier than truth. The timeline began to unravel. The more Harry thought about it, the clearer it became that Marcus had known exactly where Harry would be for years, long before Meghan appeared. Polo matches, charity dinners, private club parties. Meghan always seemed one introduction away from entering Harry's world. And Marcus was always present at those intersections. Always present, always positioned. I am 100% certain, in my honest opinion, that they had planned this all from the start to hook a prince and make everything possible. Their world is their oysters if you hook a prince wealthy enough with good connections. Harry's stomach dropped as he clicked again and again. With a sinking feeling, Harry opened another link. There were photos of Meghan attending events whose guest lists mirrored Harry's circles. Charity galas where donors from his foundations mingled with actresses and models. Private dinners where two worlds overlapped too conveniently. Too convenient, too neat, nothing accidental looks that precise. And Fergie, Meghan Markle, when she came to Toronto, isn't it odd that when she arrived here in Toronto in 20 at the end of 2011 or time in 2011, and then came the numbers. Numbers don't lie, they don't flatter, they don't care how much you love someone. What shook Harry most wasn't the photos or the whispers or even the handler theory. It was the math. Cold, objective, undeniable math. He started calculating. Trips, hotels, clothing, memberships, glam squads, flights. He remembered Meghan's lifestyle before they met. The trips across continents, the publicity-perfect outfits, the upscale hotels, the dinners photographed at tables she shouldn't have been able to afford. At first, it all seemed aspirational. Then it started to feel impossible. It all felt glossy and charming at the time. The life of an actress navigating the world. But now, staring at cost breakdowns, Harry saw something alarming. None of it added up. And then came the Soho House truth. They even went there on their first date. And can you remember the "My friend is so amazing"? Daniel Martin, the makeup artist. He plugged Soho's crockery on his Instagram while implying that he was with Meghan. Harry knew the numbers. He knew her suit salary. He knew her credit card limitations. He knew how expensive Soho House memberships were, especially across multiple cities. And yet for 5 years, Meghan's membership fees had been completely waived. Not discounted, not politely reduced, but wiped to zero. That's where the floor gave way. Someone paid, someone sponsored, someone ensured access. Someone had sponsored her. Someone had guaranteed she stayed inside the rarefied spaces Marcus controlled. Someone had ensured that wherever the wealthy and powerful gathered, Meghan was already there. Harry reached out quietly, carefully. When Harry discreetly contacted a former Soho House insider, the man's voice trembled before he finally admitted it. Certain women were assisted. Their access was covered. Their lifestyle was subsidized. No one questioned it. The truth doesn't scream. It settles. That's all I've got to say on the matter, but it makes you wonder, doesn't it? And what her connection to Soho House has, because everything comes back. There has got to be more to this other than just pure friendship with Marcus Anderson. Harry felt sick. The numbers on his notepad told a brutal story. Meghan's glam life before him cost at least $70,000 a year, a lifestyle no mid-tier actress could maintain alone. And in that moment, the illusion shattered. That meant one thing. She didn't rise socially because she was lucky. She rose because she was funded, powered, cultivated, prepared, and Harry began to realize he hadn't rescued Meghan from obscurity. He had walked straight into the arms of a well-crafted project. He avoided the wedding guest list for years, told himself it was nostalgia he couldn't handle, family wounds he didn't want reopened. But now trust was fractured, and curiosity outweighed fear. Immediately as Soho House was open, Marcus Anderson's CA came and recruited her again and introduced her to everybody. He spread the pages across the desk, names blurred, then sharpened. Patterns emerged. He spread the pages across his desk, running his fingers slowly through the names. And that's when reality punched him. Over 60 of Meghan's 200 guests were tied directly to Soho House members, executives, donors, influencers, the very people Marcus groomed into his elite circuits. His pulse thudded. These weren't childhood friends. They were infrastructure. Forgetting her ultimate dream, being globally aware and dominating the whole of society. Everybody knows her name in the world, Meghan Markle. We don't like it, but she is the most talked about woman in the world right now. He remembered the photo at the reception. Marcus stood with 4 Soho House executives, all smiling like men who had just watched years of planning unfold perfectly. Satisfied? Not surprised, especially Jessica Mulrin. Yes, it was Marcus Anderson who basically inserted Meghan Markle inside of the highest society here in Toronto. The list kept confessing. Meghan's side wasn't filled with the people who had shaped her life. It was filled with the people who had shaped her rise. Then the voicemail resurfaced. William, November 2017. Harry finally listened. He explained that Palace Security had conducted a routine background check and found connections between Meghan and the Soho House circle stretching back years. He replayed it. Again. Harry listened to the message twice, then 3 times. It became painfully clear that William wasn't trying to sabotage Harry. He was trying to protect him. No shouting followed, just silence. He didn't break loudly, only realization. After hearing William's voicemails and revisiting old photos and interviews, he sank into a numb stillness. At night, questions haunted him. Did any part of this ever come from the heart? No answer came. The cruel truth settles over him like a cold blanket. Harry wasn't the miracle in Meghan's story. He was the mission. He wasn't the love of her life. He was the final destination her network spent years preparing her for. And that truth, once seen, never lets go.